Hey, what's going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Marvel's Strike Force, and today we have a very special guest with us on today to talk about Battleworld. Say hi, Big Positive Geek.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Boilon. How's it going, buddy? Thank you for having me on.
And today we're going to be talking, well, about Battleworld because there's been a pretty juicy JSON file that has come up that has talked about all of the traits required for the upcoming Battleworld. We're going to break that down. We're going to try and make some sense of it. And we're going to see if there's any crazy characters that we're going to need to have for this. So, you ready to get started on this?
I'm ready to boil this down.
All right, let's boil this down, everyone. Okay, so I do want to do a little bit of a recap for those of you who are unfamiliar and those of you watching unfamiliar. That Battleworld basically has zones. These are days essentially. There's going to be like I think 6 days in Battleworld, right? And then we're going to have
based on the zones that they've got,
and we're going to have a variety of different content. Now, what we have here in the data mines is a breakdown, and it was I can show you guys in fact like what it looks like. It looks like gobbledygook, so I'm not gonna like go at length, but you can see here and why I have this this slide for this is it essentially says Battle World, what IM number Z1 M1 Zone 1 Mission 1, and they have some requirements and they have the traits. And so I just took all of this. Not going to share with you guys most of this unless it's necessary, but I just turn this into a this because it's easier as a PowerPoint slide, I think. So let's take a look at Zone 1, and it's pretty basic, right? Like, I mean, it's day 1, whatever difficulty you end up doing of Battle World, like it's pretty. Oh yeah, sorry, Big Positive Geek's head's in the way. It actually says Pegasus or Orchis. I have to like remove his little box here. Pegasus or Orchis, and this gets repeated actually on every zone for Mission 5. So this tells us that they really want us to have this team. So
yep.
But otherwise, the rest looks pretty normal, right? Like there's nothing really crazy to talk about at this point. I think Spider-Verse.
No, not really. I mean, Spider-Verse City. That's going to be your Spider Society. That's going to be pretty simple. The double cosmic node, though, that's a
true. And there, I mean, now that I think about it, I do want to bring up like there is a lot of cosmic characters, but recently meta, maybe not as many. And so I do want to bring up, we'll bring this up from time to time. There is quite a bit, I guess, especially now there's Annihilators for sure. Like they're some of the most meta cosmic characters. If you have Mephisto, that's great. Super Skrull should be somewhere around here as well. And Void Knight, Mr. Fantastic, and Black Bolt, I suppose, are up there too. Cosmic Ghost Rider Ball.
Yeah.
So I think there's more than enough for Kestrel. For 10 characters, I think should be fine.
Full as well, still, because she's merked money.
And MSF Original, if you use that for Apocalypse as well.
Yeah.
Eternals, if you're still needing to use this, if you have them built up. So I think there's enough for 10. Maybe I should have used this from the perspective of my alt account. That might have been more fair. But I think by and large, my alt account can probably still field 10, I think.
Yeah, I think what we've got to remember is that Battleworld is going to really benefit like the end game players, the players who've been playing this for a long time. It's another one of those, as we said about Kiln Tower and all that. It's another roster check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to benefit wide roster for sure. But the good thing is that this is likely going to be very static. So like this is Zone 1, and so like once you have this, you're good for Zone 1. I guess so. It's not going to change, like unless there's like a new season in like 6 months' time or something like that. So, and also I guess I should put an early, a lot of people have been asking me in the comments of various videos when Battleworld is coming, and I mean they kind of teased it themselves. They said Q4 2024. My personal guess is at this point it's going to be around Halloween, early November. That's what I am assuming. Also, if you guys caught my other video about Null. He is going to be a playable character, so that's going to be coming alongside this, right? So,
I think you hit it the nail on the head. There is the fact that they do a lot of stuff based around the MCU. Now, whether that's the Sony MCU, whether that's the Disney MCU, A lot of their releases tend to be based around that. I mean, you just look at the Night Stalkers team now. We've got Agatha, who's been reworked, and what is out right at the moment? It was Agatha all along. So,
yep,
and you can see that they tie a lot of it into the releases from the MCU. So,
yeah, I think
it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to think this will come out around when Venom 3: The Last Dance comes out.
I think that's October 28th, I believe.
So yeah, exactly, end of October.
So it lines up with that, I think, and so I'm looking forward to. They're doing more of that sort of connections with the MCU than they did before. Like maybe there wasn't as many MCU releases, but they weren't connecting the game as much to it until more recently. I think that they're doing it a lot more.
And I wonder if that's to do with the licensing and stuff like that with Marvel now, and that's what Marvel are possibly pushing, because you notice that with all the games, Marvel Snap, all of the Marvel-based games, they're all sort of like focused around the MCU and stuff like that. So
yeah. All right, let's move on to Zone 2. This one's a little bit more interesting. So this is day 2, basically. We have Mercenaries. Now, I coded some things in red just because, it's a little bit more strict. Global Villain, Bio or Asgard, Mutant, and then Pegasus. So this is the same on Mission 5.
Pegasus or Orchis.
Pegasus or Orchis. So yeah, I'm not going to keep removing his head to show you, but it's there. Pegasus or Orchis. So Mercenary, like I'm not. I mean, it's not going to. For most of us, it's not going to be a big issue. The only reason why I did this is because if you don't, or you weren't able to take advantage and unlock Old Man Logan, it's really Mercs for money. They might as well just slap the Mercs for money tag on there, because realistically, it's Mercs for money. Your Deadpool. Hell, apparently I have Taskmaster, but I'll probably just still use Deadpool anyways, even though he's only 153k. But realistically, it's Mercs for money. There is nobody else that you're going to want to use, especially as a new or mid-game player. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
They're farmable.
Yeah,
it's just Old Man Logan. I don't know if they're going to make him a permanent event after this, because we still have it ongoing right now. But Green Goblin Classic went into permanent status on his third pass, or after his third pass.
After his third pass.
I wonder if that'll happen here too, to make it fair for what we're seeing right now with Old Man Logan being.
I would hope so. I would hope so. And again, hey, go back to one of my videos that I said about where Ryan Jacobson has said that content isn't going to be blocked, and I believe that would alter BattleWorld as well, where content won't be blocked. So.
Yeah, so let's hope that Old Man Logan becomes more permanent, and then other players get a chance to do this as well. Now, this one's interesting. Global Villain. The reason why I say this, so that's what Orchis is, basically.
Yeah.
But you also have Orchis down here. Now, you could, if you have endgame players, right, you'll have Pegasus. So maybe Pegasus is more than fine in Mission 5 down here, and then you use Orchis for Mission 2. Maybe you're a new player and you didn't build Pegasus, like my account, my alt account. I have Kestrel, but I don't really have the rest of them. So I have to use Orchis down here. So as far as other global villains go, I'm trying to think off the top of my head before I get there.
Apocalypse.
Death Seed, maybe. No, yeah, maybe Death Seed. But I mean, even then, that's not something new player friendly that much. Apocalypse for sure, but there was also that mutant section that we saw. Global villain.
Ares.
Interesting. It's if you cancel out Orchis, there's Cabal.
Yeah.
Cabal 3. You get Ares, Apocalypse if you need to, Agatha possibly, Sandalo, because she'll have her Night Stalkers rework by then, so she might be Agatha and Morgan Le Fay actually might be a good combo with the Cabal in this case, with the reworked Cabal, or sorry, reworked Night Stalkers. So those two plus Cabal might be really good. It gets a bit dicey after that though for like non-veterans, because most didn't build Death Seed anymore because you didn't have to, because you just need to build Archangel. So it does. Yeah. I would say down past here, this gets dicier for like newer accounts and mid-game accounts.
Definitely. Definitely.
Even this stuff, honestly, is kind of dicey. I don't do that anymore, really, on my other than Archangel, on my alt account. Dawkin? I mean, that's an option, standalone, I guess. So I would definitely. It seems like they're pushing towards Cabal. Like that's safe. I think that's pretty safe.
Well, the other thing we've got to take into account is that if, we should have. If they're bringing a zombie event back, and I know your video recently went over Zombie Scarlet Witch as a rumor, so we could have the zombie. So you could have the maybe. Zombie Jug, Zombie Iron Man.
There's no Hela, and
Zombie Scarlet Witch.
Hela's the backbone of that because she's cosmic.
Yeah,
and it's hard to use them without her, unless Zombie Scarlet Witch is
Unless
just super
Scarlet
amazing,
Witch allows
right?
that,
Like,
yeah.
and that's okay. But it seems that the easiest combo right here, I would say, is Cabal with 2 other villains. I think 2 other global
Yeah.
villains. That seems to make sense. And then hopefully we'll have the free-to-play Ares Awaken passive. God, I barely use this guy. Like, I don't know. It's like, for me, I felt it was like the biggest flop, but like maybe I just don't have him high star enough. I don't have the Awaken passive. It's just been really disappointing for me personally. But now we have Bio or Asgard. I feel like this is like you're gonna chuck, if you have Odin, you're gonna chuck Odin in here. But I mean, otherwise, Hive Mind, right? I mean, Bio's fairly broad as well, but you probably want to use Synergy. Probably going to want to use Carnage in there personally. I mean, Spiders. There's a decent chunk of Spider Society actually as well. There's 3 of them, in fact, so that's viable. There's a lot of standalone characters, Super Scroll, who you're probably not going to use in some of the other ones as well. So I think this is pretty fine. There's more than enough characters that you can throw together for that one, so I'm not too concerned. And then Mutants, Extreme X-Men, right? Like you can just use full X-Men synergy in that case there. So I don't think this one's going to be too bad. And hopefully, again, I think that they make Old Man Logan more available for that when they decide to do this. They got a month to do that, so we'll see what happens in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you should do.
Zone 3. So we have, this one's a bit more interesting. So mission 1, Bio or Mystic or Skill. You basically have the choice of 3 different origins. That actually, in fact, that's easier than Zone 2. Oh, no, I went ahead. Shit. Back to 2. When we had Bio or Asgard, right? So this one's pretty broad now at Bio or Mystic or Skill. That's a lot of different characters. So I mean, I'm not going to break that down because we already did for Bio, and this is even more. Mission 2, however, is interesting. Global or epic or legendary. Now, I know what people are saying. They're going to see epic here, and they're like, oh my god. But it's not as bad as it sounds. Now, if it was global and epic, or, that would be really dicey. They have to be global epic. That would be dicey. But no, they're not doing that. And we were talking about this beforehand. So there's a lot of global characters. But it also adds epic and legendary. And most of the epics are global. The zombies are global.
The zombies are global. Captain Britain's are global. So,
and then or legendary, so you can use any legendary character, including ones that are not global. So Black Cat, Doc Ock, Green Goblin. You can use them together if you want. Any of the cosmic ones. So there's a lot of characters here to use, I think. So we don't really need to go over that either. A lot of X-Men are also just flat global. So you can use Extreme X-Men here. I mean, it depends on the enemies on the node, I think. But I don't know, Extreme X-Men is pretty good synergy-wise. Like they've never failed me yet, so that's probably something I would use here.
Exactly. They're still one of the best teams in the game.
Or Extreme X-Men with Old Man Logan. There you go. So that's pretty powerful too. Hey everyone, so I have needed to make a slight correction to probably what you're just seeing on screen now, and I'm also doing this without Big Positive Geek because I didn't catch this until much later before I was going to release the video, and I did read the traits a little bit wrong on this one and also 2 other ones that we're going to make corrections to later on. You'll notice when it's just me on the screen. This one specifically is Mission 3. You might have seen what it was just like a little bit ago. But it is now actually Global Hero or Controller. I misread, and I want to give a special thanks out to Cursed J, who kind of helped me spot this here. So it's not as bad as what it was going to be, what we were going to be discussing, because I thought it was Global Hero Controller, and it was not a very good trade. But now it's Global Hero or Controller, and as we know, that Global Hero tends to be a lot of X-Men-based characters, right? They're all global heroes. And as far as controllers go, though, there is a little bit of I guess extra list here. Old Man Logan. I mean, he's global hero anyways, right? But as far as villains, I suppose that would be controllers would be like Green Goblin Classic. We have Hela, Doc and Morgan Le Fay, Gore. Because otherwise, if they're I mean, I guess that can be anyone. I mean, because some of these are cosmic, I suppose, as well. So there is those characters there that are available that you can see here. So a decent extra list on top of X-Men characters, but this will be on top of the global heroes as well. So I just wanted to share that with you guys and kind of fix my mistake. And there is going to be 2 other sections as well that you might notice getting edited as well. The rest of it doesn't seem that bad. Again, we have Spider-Verse again. This was from Zone 1. So that can be Sinister Six, right? That can be Spider Society. So there's lots of options here, I think. And then Pegasus or Orchis once again for Zone 3. So I have this strange feeling that they're designing it towards Orchis though, because they've been really trying to sell Orchis, like right now even.
They have.
they're doing that. So yeah, that's probably something they want, and probably intentionally why the Nimrod and Omega Sentinel. If I don't know if did you get to see the Omega Sentinel phase 1 orb? It's the same as Nimrod. It's awful. This whole
I haven't seen. I
yeah,
haven't looked at that
it's
yet.
the same
No.
drop rates as Nimrod. Nimrod's bad. So they're really making these last two characters really annoying for us to get. And so yeah, no surprise that they're trying to
I wonder if they're going to make the Omega Sentinel orb very similar to the Thanos orb. So it's going to be like we're going to get a lot
it's already
of them.
out.
I
That's
don't
what
know
I'm
if you.
saying. The Omega Sentinel orb is out, and it's the same as
No. What I mean is as in like the amount of orbs that we're going to get. Are they going to get the same as the Thanos orbs?
No, I think it's legitimately replacing the Nimrod orb. I think it's just replacing the daily the milestone that we've been doing for Nimrod. I think it's just going into Omega Sentinel soon, but we'll see. So this is Zone 4. Now this was also it's okay. We have X-Men or Alpha Flight. So this one's apparently mission 2 is X-Men. So there are a lot of X-Men characters, but then you need to field 10 if you're not using Alpha Flight. And we realistically we know that Extreme X-Men are, so this is where I would bring in Cyclops actually to make use of the full Extreme X-Men and then use Old Man Logan with a separate team to do this.
Yep.
Because he's so powerful that I can carry it with a second one. Maybe use I don't know, Rogue, Old Man Logan. I don't know. Well, Wolverine. maybe do this in the first one with Old Man Logan and Wolverine because he's also Alpha Flight. Sunfire. Try to use some sort of combo synergy here with Sunfire, Wolverine, Old Man Logan, Rogue, and like I don't know, something else.
But I think Alpha Flight is probably the best bet.
So I'll do some sort of mixture of Alpha Flight with Old Man Logan. That might be something that I might do, and then use Extreme X-Men on that second node. Now, one of our second edits that we're going to be doing here is Mission 3 of Zone 4. Once again, I thought it was Mutant Hero Brawler, which let me tell you, I'm not going to, it's a terrible list. It's like Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Psylocke, and a bunch of garbage like Shatterstar and X-23. So I thought it was all three of them together, and in fact, it is Mutant Hero or Brawler. And as you can see with Mission 1 and 2, there is a lot of X-Men carryover already. And this kind of makes it sound like, when you do Mission 1, that you're going to want to use Alpha Flight by and large so that you can free up space in 2 and 3, right? Because technically all of this is Mutant Hero. So there's a lot of that. As far as the rest of the Brawlers go that you might be able to use in a Zone 4, though, we have Lady Deathstrike. That's a pretty big one. We have Ultimus as well. This is a pretty big one. Vulture, Kraven, so they're involved. There's a good list of Brawler, Thanos Endgame, Super Skrull. Lots of Brawler. You could probably honestly make a team of Brawlers that doesn't impinge on, doesn't involve using Hero Mutants at this point. There's lots of additional Brawlers that you can use as a part of this. And because of the other ones, you do want to make sure that you're not running over any of these other traits. But I think there's more than enough Brawlers that you could just use a team of 5 Brawlers, honestly, that aren't being used anywhere else in here. So that's correction number 2. Well, we're not done yet, actually, because Mission 4 is Horsemen. Let's move your head, because this is actually important. Horsemen or MSF Original. My head's in the way now. This is MSF Original plus Apocalypse. So we're just talking about Rogue, and Rogue is a Horseman character. So will you want to use her here as well? Which then means you cannot use her in the X-Men section. So there's a lot. This is tricky here.
I think if I was going for Mission 4, I would be looking at definitely Apocalypse, obviously, because he's probably going to be able to carry the node by himself anyway. Red Hulk.
Yeah, you're going to use the ones that basically try to use the non-Rogue ones. So ML.
Yeah, Morgan, Red Hulk, Morgan Le Fay. I probably wouldn't use Archangel. No. Probably wouldn't. I'd probably go down the MSF Originals path then and go with someone like Vol and maybe or if she's out
Kestrel.
by then,
Kestrel's there too.
Oath.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's not out yet, but it will probably be out by the time Battleworld goes live. So that's definitely an option there for sure. This is probably the trickiest zone so far, just because it's all laced in like mutant characters, pretty much. And then if you're not up to Apocalypse yet, you're screwed. You're not getting past Zone 4. Like your alliance is not getting past Zone 4. If most of you are not at Big Apocalypse, you're probably screwed.
Yeah.
So this kind of seems to be a bit of a gate, actually, almost for lower tier alliances, I suppose. Like this is the natural break here.
I would say so, yeah.
So that's really interesting. Looking at that, I mean, for most of us in the veteran side of things, it's probably not. It's doable. I'm very, very. This is sus. This is super sus. Hero Mutant Brawler. Like, I don't know if they're gonna add new characters like in November, December that are gonna fill this role. Possibly for like the next Mutant Raid team. More X-Men characters that might fill in this role for sure. Like 1 or 2 more characters, like that could do it.
Yeah.
And they're kind of planning ahead. Like this is going to be really painful until we get those characters. You know,
definitely.
I don't know if there's going to be Battle World heal packs or anything, but this might be the case where I don't know if you'll get multiple attacks on the same kind of battle. So this could be a struggle. We'll see, I guess. So that's Zone 4, and once again, Pegasus and Orchis. We're not going to keep going over that. Zone 5. And correction number 3, which is going to be the final one that I need to correct, is going to be Zone 5 Mission 1. And this is city or support, not city support. Had you looked up city support, it would have been Peter B. Parker, Doc Ock, Dagger, and a bunch of garbage, including Night Nurse and a bunch of hand minions. So that was not stellar. So it's city or support. As far as support that aren't city, there are, well, you have Agatha, so who should have the Night Stalkers rework, and you have Scientist. You probably don't want to use Scientist Supreme, will debuff everyone on the team. Probably not, I wouldn't do that. But Apocalypse, Doc Ock, still leader. Hank Pym, great character actually if you're using other hero-based characters as well, potentially in this list. Dormammu, you can still use as a veteran account, and you can see some of the other options over here. Now, as far as ones that I would use, I mean, it depends on what I'm mixing. If I'm using city hero type characters, or city characters that are hero, I would probably end up going with Hank Pym in this instance to kind of go for a more hero-based team. Obviously, though, being broad like city, you can use things like Spider Society, right? Because they're all city-based characters. So I don't think that this Mission 1 is going to be that difficult after all, because it's not city support. So that is going to be the final correction, though, without Big Positive Geek. My apologies, BPG, that I had to make this correction without him.
Mm-hmm.
What else is there? We have Hero Global or Hero Cosmic. So again, this is like Extreme X-Men. This like X-Men characters are all Hero Global, Hero Cosmic.
Yeah,
like,
Hero Cosmic would be like Cersei, Icarus.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Eternals and Void Knight, Void Knight Ball,
Void Knight.
So I think there is stuff
Photon.
here. Now this one's interesting, Villain Tech, because this is essentially what Orchis is, but Orchis is still here at Mission 5. So if you are using Orchis in Mission 5, then what's left to do Villain Tech would be Sinister Six, wouldn't it?
Spider Society. Yeah, not Spider Society. Sinister Six, Superior Six.
Yeah. Because there is like a full 5, I think. Oh, Kang as well. Doc Ock, Vulture, Green Goblin Classic. So that seems to be the go. Mysterio, Spider Slayer. So there's a full 5 of Sinister Six. Doom maybe, but like my alt account hasn't really leveled Doom. So I'm thinking for like mid game players, like what would they do? And Kang. So I would say Sinister Six and Kang. That seems to be the go right there. There's Iron Patriot. I don't know. Is he good standalone though? I don't know.
No, I would probably say go with the Superior Sinister Six section there.
Yeah, and there is,
because you're gonna get all the
I love
the nuances
Vulture
with Mysterio.
I love that. The control on Mysterio, like I used him in Dark Dimension 8. I don't regret it. I loved it. So that, and if you do need to use Kang, he is there as well. So I think that's an option. Like I would use like these 4 honestly with Kang. That would be fine. And Spider Slayer, he's fine, but like some people did skip leveling him because he's kind of like he's like that extra member. I feel like sometimes I use him, sometimes I don't. But
I get used for him every day or every war at least. And
I love Mysterio. I've always been a Mysterio lover. And I would totally hit the Gear Tier 19 on him if he wasn't like 5 pieces. That's all. He's very expensive, but I do love Mysterio and I love the rework. And I love the Sinister Six rework. Really hope that one day they will do something like that or as good as that was, because I felt like that was the top tier sort of character releases.
That is like the gold standard of reworks.
So that was Villain Tech. If you don't want to use Orchis, because that's going to be more for mid-game players, I feel, where like mid-gamers like my alt account is always going to use Orchis down here in Mission 5. I just feel like we're just going to pivot to that. And I put something on Hero Mystic. Now, the reason why I did that one, I feel like I didn't check it, but I feel like that one's maybe a little bit worse. But because we have,
you've got Eternals.
It's not
Weaver.
Yeah, Eternals. So we just talked about Eternals though on Hero Cosmic for Mission 2. So I'm just thinking of like characters I'm not using. I mean, I
Ghost
guess
Rider
there's
Robbie.
some, yeah. Robbie Vol, Spider Weaver Noir. You could use 2-piece Tangled Web actually there. Cosmic
Moon
Ghost
Knight.
Rider Eternals. But I feel like for my mid game account or for my alt account, like basically anything below here is not something I really leveled though for that account. So to really consider them, they're not as much in the meta anymore. So I think as far as meta characters go, it's probably anything above my Eternals here on the roster.
Well,
So
you've got your Black Panther Shuri there as well.
It's a little bit more limited. Moon Knight actually will be on there post rework from the Night Stalker, so you might get some value out of that. But it's not a huge list. I would say it's maybe about like 10 characters long as far as like somewhat meta.
Definitely.
So it's a little bit tougher, but because I'm definitely just going to use Extreme X-Men probably here. And I'm going to try to do a mission 2, I think, on that one there.
Yeah.
And now this very bottom mission 6, both of our heads are in the way, but it says mission 6, level 101 Asgard. That's what it says down here. And this is the only one that had a bonus mission. And so I don't know what this means. I don't know if this suggests that that there will be a bonus mission that is going to be currently locked and there's going to be a level. We kind of figured that there was going to be a level cap increase on the horizon, but is that what it's meaning? Is it subject to change? Is it a bug in the data mines? I don't know. And why is it specifically calling out Asgardians at 101? I don't think any of us like the idea of leveling up Bifrost or anything like that to 101 for this. Odin's probably the only character, maybe Vol, who might get an extra level, right? Like, I don't want to do this for anyone else. So we'll see, I guess, what ends up happening about that.
Asgard team around the corner?
Maybe another one? I mean, maybe, but we'll see, I guess, right? And then there's the other section. Now, this was something that popped up in the data mines as well. Basically listed it like this. It was called Zone 1 SO1. Whatever SO is, I don't know. But they had a variety of different requirements. Level 50, gear 12, and then 75, gear 12. And then it's kind of hard to see at the bottom because my frame's in the way. But it was 75, gear 15, 7 yellow at the bottom down here. So extra stuff. Specifically, it calls out Zone 1, though, in the beginning. As far as what that might be, I often do look at the wiki for territory battles for Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, because it does seem that they've been trying to emulate a lot of what they're doing over here. There's a variety of different ways to do territory battles, and you can see it in the photo here. It's kind of hard to be honest, I'm not even sure what I'm looking at because I never played it, but I'm sure there's lots of people watching the video here that have, and maybe they might have some suggestions as to what that could be. There is something here called deployment, where it says you can send part of your roster. We know that there's some sort of restriction based on what we just saw.
Yeah.
And
as this is a roster check, I'm guessing that is probably, maybe it's going to add points or something like that. We don't know. Possibly that's going to be like the differentiator for the bigger alliances that, maybe that's how they differentiate how good they are in Battleworld. Because
whatever it is, there are 8 of these things. And at least in the data mines, it only said Zone 1. And there's also one for Zone 5, which gets worse. So this one's at Zone 5, SO1 through 8, with gear tier 14, 5 yellow, 16, 6 yellow, 18, 7 yellow, 19, 2 diamonds. That's what you're missing here at the bottom. It does say 19, 2 diamonds over the course of the 8 missions here, whatever these are here. And so it scales up dramatically at Zone 5. Now, I do not have a slide for Zone 6 because it's going to be the boss battle. I don't know if there's anything else other than the boss battle, but we've basically been told from what we know so far that, it's going... I mean, I think it's safe to say that Null's the boss battle as well at this point. Like, it's been teased numerous times. Pretty sure the envoys have said it at this point as well. I don't think this is a secret that Zone 6 is going to be the boss battle. I don't know if there's any extra stuff to do on that, though, on that day, but there is nothing. There's no traits listed here for that. So I imagine it's some sort of all trait, free for all battle Null with whoever the hell you want. So there's nothing else in the data mines that talks about the Zone 6 and what we're going to be doing.
It leads me to wonder, like, again, whether we have a good look at territory battles or no. Like, is there like energy in territory battles? Is there a number of attacks that we can do in territory battles? Is it?
Yeah, I don't know because I never played it. So that would be a great question for the audience and to leave some comments down below. If you have experience with territory battles and can maybe answer any of that, as to what you might see it in an MSF context, I think that would be good because I have not played it. But I know that I talked about this a bit in my null video that, it's not surprising because they rewarded characters for territory battles in Star Wars like these here and why we're going to be getting null.
Yeah.
I don't know how many shards or like how fast it's going to be. That I didn't know about null, right? It could take like three plus months given the way that the game's going right now. But it's going to be some slow drip of his shards probably. And my guess it has something to do with how well you do in that final zone 6 in your battle against him and how well your alliance does, kind of more broadly. And we do have a little bit. I think there is a difficulty slider. It seems there was some JSONs in this for 3 different difficulties: easy, normal, and elite. One is listed as 75G12 for easy. I just said filter because that's what they said. But anyways, that's like I don't know if that means all of your characters have to be at least this in order to go in.
75 to 12 to go in.
Or if it's a recommendation. Yeah. So I don't know if it's a recommendation or it's a hard barrier to using them in this difficulty. Difficulty normal 75 G15, and then your head's in the way a little bit, but it's going to be 75 G15 7 yellow. And this one's interesting because if it's a hard barrier and they're saying you have to have 7 yellow to use those characters in this, not only is that designed for Krakens, but it basically means that the characters aren't farmable. Then caution.
Yes,
because if there's a lot of characters that you might want to use that are newer that you might not be able to if it's a hard cap on using them if they're not 7 yellow.
Yeah.
So I guess most of us are probably going to start at normal if we can just jump to it. I don't know if we have to go from easy to normal to elite or if we can just start where we want. Most likely my alliance will start at normal because we're not spendy enough to have if this is a requirement. If it's a recommendation, I'll probably try it. But if it's a hard cap, it's not happening because that basically excludes anyone that's not farmable at this point.
Exactly.
So I think that's it. Is that my last slide? That is my last slide. So I think that's pretty interesting. One thing that I do want to talk about with you before we end the video, though, is kind of Battleworld more broadly in the context of Marvel Strike Force, because we were talking a little bit about expectations of screen time. And what we've seen right now is we've seen that there's going to be 6 days, and each zone has, at least zones 1 through 5, have I'm going to presume at this point is combat missions based on what we've seen on territory battles with some other stuff involved. It's an alliance-based game mode as well. And so the amount of screen time that's going to be used to play this, I want to say is going to be at least a half hour.
Easily, yeah.
Depending on how hard they are, depending on how hard the battles are and things like that, I think that's fair. Maybe 5 minutes per battle, or at least that's what It's probably going to be a time cap, so at least up to 5 minutes. But and then spending time, we all stare at our screen and like spend time just like messing about and things like that as well. So I would say,
and alliance leaders, are we going to need I know some alliances have war captains and war leaders. Are we going to need Battleworld leaders and Battleworld captains to run Battleworld? Is it going to be that much of an organizational thing? Especially if those SOs are copying copying territory battles, and that is a deployment sort of thing, then surely we're going to need to be talking as an alliance, so that this could add a fair amount of not just screen time, but like time outside of the game, organizing the alliance, alliance organization time to
And I'll be honest, I'm the first person who the last thing I do in my gameplay, my daily day to day, is Alliance War. Everyone knows who've been following me for a while, I really don't like Alliance War. And it still will be that way because I will prioritize it last when Battleworld comes out. And it's the only way that I am able to kind of recoup some time. Not only am I a content creator, but I'm also a leader of 2 alliances. It's just insane, how much I do on a daily basis. And Battleworld's just going to add to that. And so if that's an extra half hour per account that I'm running, right, which is my fault, it's I'm doing that, but is still going to add, I think, a lot of time extra to every single day. Pretty much, it's like 6 days out of 7 days.
So that makes me wonder, are they going to then sort of cut down certain modes maybe to?
But how do they do that, right? I mean, like, I was joking about Alliance War simming, and I think that's almost the only way. I actually think Alliance War takes up more time than Cosmic Crucible, because there's like twice as many battles in Alliance War if you're taking it seriously or somewhat seriously. Anywhere from 10 to 14 battles, whereas Crucible's like, I don't know, like 6, or maybe a couple extra if you're sacking or something. But there's a lot more time spent in Alliance War, and I think that might be the only way they've by and large stopped running a lot of blitz events. I've noticed that we've not really had to do that, so that's positive. But I don't know. The only other place they can cut, I think, is Alliance War at this point.
That's not saying we want blitz events back either.
I hope the people who make events aren't watching this.
Videos. We know they watch your videos, Boilon. Yeah, we know they watch them.
Please don't bring back blitz events, but they do need to consider this, because screen time is an issue that at some point, if it hits a certain point, people won't be able to participate, or they'll have to make sacrifices somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I don't want to even count how I know I spend a lot of time on Marvel Strike Force every single day. If it's not like recording stuff, it's like talking about it, it's Discord, it's everything. Like my life, I literally breathe this game. And so adding Battle World into the mix is just going to make it, not worry. I don't want to make it sound like Battle World is going to be a bad thing, but it's just going to add much more time, and that I'm going to be spending breathing this game even more. So it's a small concern that I have. Otherwise, any last thoughts, final thoughts about Battle World with expectations?
I'm excited to get in and get it done. I hope it, I hope it sticks the landing, shall we say? I think it'll be, for a lot of players, I think it's going to be like the maybe the next sort of fork in the road as to whether they continue playing MSF or no. Is one thing I've heard from a number of people within the community. So
yeah, I think a lot of people are hanging in, like, because you could argue that with the character release right now, like, the game's not in its best spot, and so Battle World, I think, will make or break a lot of people's decision whether or not they stick around or not. And there's a lot riding on this. I think, like, if the game mode doesn't go well, that might not be very good for players sticking around and the game and the company and all that. So I hope that it does do well. I'm hoping that it's not like a beta test, that they're releasing this as a beta test, with the players, and they're releasing it kind of like before it's kind of ready, and they're just waiting to get more player feedback and then make things on the fly. I don't know. I want it to be in a good state when it comes out, not to be in a mess state when it first comes out.
Same here. Although I tend to think that it might be the latter of those things, and you might be right. It might come out as like a soft beta test, shall we say?
They should communicate that then. Like, I think they should communicate and say, you know what, if they're releasing it like that, say, hey, this is like the preseason or something. Or like, they did this with Cosmic Crucible, actually, when they released CC. They were pretty clear that this is like a preseason, that they're kind of like, they knew it was kind of rough around the edges, and they released it anyway. So as long as they communicate something like that, I would be more okay. But if they're like, yeah, this is the game mode, yeah, have a blast, and then it's like not as we expected, that's
that's one thing they've always said, isn't it? Is that they do look at the live data. So that makes me wonder: are they going to, do a soft launch or a pre-season launch or something like that at Battle World, where we get to almost test it, and they get to look at the data before deciding what they're going to do with the game?
I guess we'll find out, but it does seem that they are intent on bringing it out relatively on schedule, by hell or high water. That is coming out, and we're probably going to be seeing it at the end of October or early November in that first week we would see it at this point, which is fine. Like, I do want to play it, and I just hope it's in a good state. I hope it's in a decent state. So we'll see with that one as well. Otherwise, I think that's it. We covered most things here. Thanks for coming on the show, PPG.
Thank you for having me, buddy.
And as usual,
thank you for having me.
I will also contain links in the description down below if you want to follow along and pass on and subscribe if you want to check out some of his content. A lot of it is event related. However, there is also some other stuff that you are doing, I think, sometimes, a couple times a week, that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, there is. There's extra content coming all the time. Obviously, unlike yourself, this isn't my number one job at the moment, but we'll get there one day.
Otherwise, thanks everyone else for watching. I know it's been a long video, but there's a lot to talk about with Battleworld coming around the corner, so I hope that you enjoyed. And I will probably post the slides, some of the slides anyways, on my Discord server as well sometime after the video goes out. So you guys still watch the video, so you know. But otherwise, until next time, everybody, stay safe and healthy. I'll see y'all later. Boilon and BPG, signing out.